Right guys, welcome to DeanMartinPhotography.com on YouTube. This video is part of an article for FujiLove, the online magazine for Fuji X enthusiasts worldwide, bringing you articles from professional photographers that are dedicated to the Fuji X system. You can check them out on the site by visiting www.FujiLove.com. Right, today I'm going to be doing a first impressions video on Tonality Pro by Macphun Software. Tonality Pro is titled as the most inspiring black and white photo editor in the world. Links to the site will be in the description. I was talking to the editor of FujiLove. Both of us were discussing what software we prefer to use with Fuji's RAW files. Personally, I use Lightroom for absolutely everything, as I can catalogue all of my images, I can process them from RAW, I can open up in external applications and then finally finish them off in Lightroom. The editor asked me if I'd tried Tonality Pro and that it was brilliant for black and white. Personally, I find that I've been satisfied with Lightroom and Photoshop, enough so that I don't need to try any other software. Both of them I've always done what I need them to do, and I've always been happy with what they do. The editor said to me that Macphun was keen for me to try Tonality and put together an article or a video saying what my thoughts were, whether I liked the software, whether I didn't like the software, whether I thought it would be something that I can recommend to others or something that professionals may like. Right, I'll tell you now that I'm not being paid by Macphun Software for this video in any way whatsoever, and that everything I say is going to be my unbiased opinion. No opinions have been put on me, and I've not been asked to say anything specific. They gave me the software, they gave me a license to try everything, and give you my thoughts on it. After installing Tonality Pro, I opened it up so I could see how to open an image and if it would actually accept a Fuji RAW format file. This will be the first time using Tonality Pro, so you'll be seeing the video as I use everything for the first time. I'm interested to see how easy or how hard the software will be to pick up, and whether it's software that I could potentially use within my workflow. Also how it handles Fuji RAW files and the options that are available to me. It's quite possible that I may be a little bit too critical with the software, as if I don't feel it adds anything extra to my workflow on top of what Lightroom and Photoshop can do. If anything, whether it does it quicker or whether it does it better, then it won't be something that I intend to use. So I'm quite excited to see what it can do. Macphun offers two downloads. One is priced at £9.99, and that's aimed at those who just want an editor for their images. And the second is £49.99 with completely unlocked features. It has a lot more features, and that's aimed at professional photographers, which also has plugin support for Lightroom and Photoshop. If at any point in the video you want to purchase Tonality Pro, there'll be links in the description that you can follow. Also on checkout, if you enter promotional code DeanMartin10, you'll receive 10% off the price. Right, just before I open up the software and load an image into it, here's Tonality Pro's advert. If you'd like to skip the video at any point and go directly to the software, click the link at the bottom of the screen. Right, that was the advert for Tonality Pro. Right, now to the image that I intend to test it with. I chose this particular image as when processing in Lightroom, there were quite a lot of the highlights blown out in the clouds just here. There's plenty of detail all in the plants and in the leaves, also in the trees, and lots of different tones in the building as well, so it'll be quite intriguing to see what Tonality Pro can produce and if it can recover details all in the sky just like here. Here is the raw file. As you can see, all the highlights are completely blown out there, which I managed to recover in Lightroom. Right, now onto the software. See, as we click it, we are greeted with a screen that asks us to load an image, so we don't actually see the software straight away. Let's open the file. Right then, so it's automatically black and white, and it seems to be presets that open up straight away with it. Let's have a quick look here. Here are all the presets. Right, so we have a number of different options. So each one's a style of different presets. Anyway, right. Let's make this full screen. Right, so let's see what we've got up here then. I'm guessing that's just file, and that looks like an export. We've got our metadata here, our exposure settings, obviously zoom. I'm guessing that there is so we can crop it. Yep. What's this? Oh, there we go, a navigation window. Our zoom amount, our zoom buttons. Let's look at that. I'm guessing that's just what we've just done. We've gone to full screen. I haven't got a clue what that is. What's that? Oh, there we go, in a before and after. I'm guessing that was back and forward. Right, we've got the histogram, on and off. Hands, which is generally moving it around or not doing anything. Brush mode, which I'm assuming is the same as in Lightroom. Let's have a quick look. Yes, let's see if we can... Nope. Can't move it up and down. Let's see if... Right, shortcuts work the same as in Photoshop in Lightroom. That's brilliant. And what's this one? I'm guessing that's... Oh, there we go. It says there. It's an eraser. Right. Gradient tool. Right, so we can add different layers. Right, that's quite interesting. I'm not sure if that's just different images that we can add on top or if that's just different layers of adjustments. But we'll have a look in a moment. If we've got a temperature. We've got different tones. Right, I'm not sure what this adaptive is, but we'll try it shortly. Contrast, clarity. Again, I'm not actually sure what all this is here, but this is something I can try shortly as well. Color filter. Right. See, I'm happy to see that we've got this, that we've actually got a tone curve. I do like to play with a tone curve when I am processing an image. Split toning, oh, that's brilliant as well. What's that like? Oh, so there's different presets. I guess that's reset. Yep. Glow. Again, I've not got a clue. Oh. Okay, it adds a glow into the image. Lens blur. Again, we'll look at that in shortly. Texture overlay. Vignette. Grain. Photo frames. Right, this isn't something I would ever use in a lifetime on an image that I am using for professional work. The only frame that I ever seem to add to any image is if I'm using a white frame or a black frame when I'm wanting to add it into a photo book. Apart from that, I personally see frames as quite tacky or something that an amateur would use when they first start using a software, because sometimes they either like it or they feel it enhances their image a little bit more. And layer properties. I'm not sure if that is the first layer or all the others, but I'm going to have a little click through everything now. Let's have a look then. Let's see how the temperature does on the black and white. Right, that seems to work quite well. Tint, I'm not going to bother with that yet. Right, exposure and adaptive. So this is the one that I'm quite intrigued with. Let's have a look. There we go, normal exposure. Right, see that's all the way down at 100, yet the image isn't completely black. So let's have a look. An adaptive. What does adaptive do? Right, I guess it decides itself what needs bringing down. Let's actually see how it, so it doesn't overexpose too much. And contrast. Okay, I'm intrigued at what this smart is. So standard. See, that seems pretty normal. Right, what's this smart do? Again, I assume that adaptive and smart, it's like a built-in auto or built-in intelligence within the software that tries to decide for you which bits that actually need extra contrast or extra exposure. So it seems that the double clicks on each one work very similar to Lightroom to actually reset it, and as it seems so far, the way it's laid out, it seems to be inspired by Lightroom or similar programs. Right, the highlights. Right, so far at the moment I'm a little bit disappointed in how much detail it's recovered here. Unless the fact that this is just black and white and you can't see the extra colour. But in Lightroom, when I did drop all the highlights down, I could see parts of the cloud returning in this area that I did overexpose on. Midtones. Oh, see, that's interesting that it's actually got a midtones that you can play with. And shadows. Right, I actually quite like that. It seems to be very similar to these. It's more of a smart look where it's selecting what it thinks is best. Right, whites. See, again, increasing the whites obviously increases it, but it doesn't seem to do it to the extent that Lightroom does it. When you drop the whites all the way down in Lightroom, the majority of the image goes grey and a lot of the detail in the sky comes back, especially if it was a white sky or a grey sky and you'd lost a lot of detail. Unless at some point when I do test it, it's the highlights, the midtones and the whites that you have to use all three in conjunction to actually bring the detail back. Blacks. See, again, that's the blacks all the way down. Personally, I would like that a lot darker. Again, how it is in Lightroom. I am going to be comparing this a lot to Lightroom because that is the program that I primarily use for absolutely everything more than any other. Alright, clarity and structure. Let's have a look. Right, again, so the clarity, it's coming through brilliant. It's I'm not sure if you can see it on your monitor, I can see it on mine, but the clarity, it seems to be doing a very nice job, not adding too much. I'm assuming at this point that some of these slides are a little bit weak because you've got this option here. You've got layers, so obviously you can keep adding on top and on top, which I suppose will give you a bit more of a finer adjustment of what you want in the final image. So we'll see what it's like at the end. After I've flicked through everything, I'm actually going to try and do a full edit, not really knowing what everything is, and see what the final result's like. Right, there's protection. I'm not sure what that is. I can't really see much difference. There is a little bit. It seems to be protecting the highlights. The highlights aren't overexposing. It seems to be dropping them down a little bit when you increase the clarity. Structure, I'm not actually sure. Oh wow, so that seems to be, structure seems to be a lot of part of the clarity as well. So it's right. See, that's more what we would have seen in Lightroom. So as it seems, the clarity slider in Lightroom, when you adjust it, it just adds a lot of pop to the picture. Whereas here it seems to be that above, like the shadows and the highlights, it's separated a little bit more, giving you a lot finer control over the shadows, over the blacks, over the whites, with the possibility of layering it up as well. Microstructure. Yeah, that's just not my cup of tea, but suppose it's it really is fine adjustment for clarity, and to be honest, I think that's brilliant. Now I'm wishing that I had this sort of clarity adjustment in Lightroom. Right, colour filter. See, these will be filtering out different colours in a black and white image. Obviously, as you remove certain colours, it affects the look of different tones in the image. And the same goes with saturation. Oh wow, I can actually come in and make the picture colour again. Yeah, that looks horrible, but at least I know the options there. That reset. Right, tone curve. Right, I've got selectable points that I can put onto it. Right, the points didn't lock how they do in Lightroom, but see, personally I'd prefer that if when you clicked a point, that point stayed there. So as you adjusted another, oh, that one does. Well, this one. Right, no, see, that one don't. I'd like it if that one actually stayed there. I wonder if I move that, if it will. No. Maybe just the centre one. Right, so it seems to be that the centre point is actually locked, but as you move the other points, everything moves. That's still workable though. Right, split toning. This isn't something that I tend to do in a black and white picture. In all colour photos, I love split toning. I think it adds a nice glow, nice warmth to the picture. Whereas black and white, it's personally not my cup of tea, but I mean others may like it. Just going to flick through these presets. Actually, that's not too bad already. Let's come out of that. See, this is quite self-explanatory here. It's as you can see, click in one. Each of these are just adjust the different colours in the highlights and the shadows. Right, let's reset that. Glow. Let's see what this does. Oh, so that's a nice little feature if you want to soften up the image a little bit. Lens blur. Let's put it all on max, see what happens. That's not a setting I don't think I'd ever use. Right, texture overlay. Right, I'm not seeing anything yet, or do I have to select one and see how it does? Let's just pick that one. Amount. Ah. See, I can see this being a great program for someone who wants to create more of an artistic image, something that they're going to print out, maybe sell or do a one-off, rather than use for every single photo. Because I think it will take a while not having the option to copy and paste over to another picture, unless it has that I've just not come across yet. So let's have a little play. Let's pick something else. Oh, and I see that I can see being useful for not so much for myself, but there are a lot of people that do like that vintage film look and add the actual grain and the crust into a photo, and generally if they're using Lightroom they'd have to open it up in Photoshop to get that effect. Right, let's reset that. Right, vignette. That seems to work. That seems to work just like any other program. Grain. Let's just go on full white. See, that just looks like digital grain. That it doesn't look anything like film. Right, we'll have a closer look at that later. Photo frames. Again, this is something I would never ever use. But we're going to have a look at it anyway, seeing as it's a first look. Yeah, I'd never ever use that, so I'm just gonna skip that completely. Right, layer properties. Right, I can see here as I'm moving this slider, the layer at the top just here, that's moving up and down as well. Set a curiosity, I guess that's the add. Right, if I move this up and down now, where has it gone? Let's go all the way down. Right, see, I think that there is a bit pointless, the opacity there, seeing as you've got a slider directly here on top of the layer. But I can see these being useful. And the source. Well, again, I'm not sure. I've not actually tried it yet. Right, and that's the end of the actual slider list. And we've got the presets folder here. So we've got basic, architecture, portrait, dramatic, outdoor, street, vintage, film emulation. That I am curious to actually see, seeing as I love what Fuji does already with the presets within Lightroom. Toning, HDR, favorites. I'm guessing that they're just the favorites that you like. Here you can set it into a favorites folder. And user, I'm assuming that they're all your custom ones that you've made yourself, or when you've used one of these, and if you can adjust it and make your own version. Right, so we're just going to stick in basic now and have a quick flick through. So these are actually quite nice already. I mean, that looks like a fully finished picture, and that's only boosting the clarity. Oh, I've just noticed there a little slider pops up. Oh, so you can actually increase the opacity of each preset that you add onto it. Right, let me just get rid of this layer. Is it that one? Yeah. Alright, let's see if we've got anything interesting in here. That's a bit grungy. Let's have a look. Soft contrast strong. Right, that I can't see being used for any picture, but you know, each to their own. Underexposed. I'll bring the sky back a bit. Yeah, see again, look, it's not really bringing all that detail that it brought back in Lightroom. I don't know if that's just because of the way that this handles the Fuji RAW files, but we'll see. Right, let's reset everything. Architecture, it has a building in it. Let's try this Madrid. See again, the building looks great. It's keeping the details all in the green. I don't know why that bit there is a little bit darker, or if it's added a bit of a gradient on the sky itself. But again, I'm still not too impressed with what it's actually doing to the sky. Let's see what else we've got. There we go, this looks like a bit more of a HDR sort of look. So again, not something I would personally use, but I do know quite a few photographers that end up processing their image like this, that end up taking 3 or 4 bracketed images to try and get this sort of look. Right, so these presets are actually quite good. Let's see what else we've got. Portrait. Right, seeing as this isn't a portrait and there is no skin tones in there, I'm not really going to try any of these. I don't think it would benefit the picture that much. Dramatic. Ooh, see, I like that. See, that's not too bad. It's quite a cinematic effect, that. Again, look, there's a little bit of colour that's been brought back just here, but I'm still not super impressed with how it's utilising the dynamic range of the Fuji X Trans Sensor 2. See, that looks quite nice. So I'm actually quite surprised that it's got colour in here, for saying that it's a program dedicated to black and white. Unless they've just added this option in just to try and please everybody, the fact that someone might want more of a desaturated image rather than just black and white. Oh, what is that? See, that I like already. And that's just a preset. Right, well, what's what we got? Outdoor. I'm not going to try any of these, I'm just going to scroll through so you can see. Actually, I will try, I like the look of that, if I can see blue sky. See that again, that's actually quite nice. And that's just one click and it's a usable photo already. I mean, it's not raw no more. Myself though, I like to use presets to see what is available to me, but I wouldn't personally just click a preset and export. Just for the fact that everybody else who has the program can just click that one preset and export it, and whereas I want my images to be a little bit more personal towards me, something that I've created, rather than just taking a photo, I want to create an image. Alright, what else do we have? Right, so that's the outdoor folder. Street, I'm guessing that's, yeah, just very grungy. Stay away from that. Vintage. Right, so this is the effect of them overlays coming in. See that? I like that. No, I'm not too keen on that blur. Oh, what's we got? Oh. Right, now that's a bit in your face, a bit of a miniature sort of effect. Although it's just a blurry vignette. What's this one? See again, the same sort of thing, just in black and white. Yeah, this is another thing that I've never liked. I've never liked a white vignette. But again, it's some people's personal preference. See, that already looks like an old photo. I'm actually loving these presets. Right, what else we got? Toning. I'm not even going to bother with that. That just looks like what we clicked through earlier on the split toning. HDR. Now, I think this is a feature that a few people would like out there. Some people like the HDR look. Myself, I'm not too keen on the full HDR look, but I do like dropping all my highlights, boosting my shadows, bringing the blacks back into the final image, just to give it that little bit of oomph, maybe make an image look a little bit different to what you would have seen with your eyes. But I do have a friend, Mark Story, if you're out there, he does like this HDR look, and he does it to quite a few of his pictures. I believe he uses DxO. So let's have a look. I see that I quite like. I wouldn't use it like that, but an actual preset there, and then being able to go in and maybe, let's have a look. Yeah, so you can adjust everything already. Yeah, so I think a lot of these presets are actually workable. Just giving you an understanding of what can actually be achieved, and then obviously you can go in and adjust them all to yourself. And I'm guessing that this create here, when you click that, there we go. So you can create your own preset, and I'm sure that will store in the user folder. Let's have a look at this HDR. And I'm just going to drop the shadows on that just to see. Where are the shadows gone? Just to see what it looks like. Oh, Matt, where are the shadows? Contrast, highlight, shadows. There we go. Let's add a bit of contrast in there. See, again, I'm not too keen on how it's rendering the sky. I know I've mentioned that a few times, but it might be different when I actually go through and process one myself. Right, so that's it after the presets. There's quite a lot in there for people to work with. If you're unsure on photo editing or not proficient in photo editing, or you've just not even been photographing that long and you're only moving into the raw side, there are a lot of presets that are built into it. I mean, for Lightroom, you can pay up to £40–50 for a preset pack, and you can pay even more than that for Photoshop. So the fact that you're paying $49.99 for this and you're getting all these presets in, I think is brilliant. Oh, here we go. I missed this one out. Film emulation. Let's reset that. So it's gone back to the black and white. Right, film emulation. This is one that I was quite keen to look at, because the simulation that you actually get on in the Fuji cameras and the calibration profiles in Lightroom I think are brilliant, and I think are unmatched with anything else. Fuji have done a cracking job with that, and I think that's why so many people love the Fuji cameras, and a lot of people have converted from RAW to actually shooting JPEG because they are just happy with what they're getting directly from the camera. And there are some of us professionals that still will always be RAW, just the fact that we like to have full control over the final picture. Right, let's just go to the start. I'm not going to say anything in particular about these, I'm just going to flick through them. See, again, so far I'm not really happy with anything I'm seeing from these film simulations, as I love what you can get from the Fuji. And to be honest, it'd be really nice if at some point Macphun could actually incorporate that into this software. Maybe a little tab at the bottom that has profiles in, like you get in Lightroom, and that you could actually flick through and select your preset that you wanted from your camera. Yeah, maybe something that they can do in the future. Right, I think I've had a flick through everything. Let's just reset that. And what's this? Oh, there we go. So, so you can close them down. Yeah, up and down. And oh, what's that just happened there? I didn't notice it. Oh, we've got a zebra effect. Right, now that is brilliant. You can actually see, and for those that don't really understand a histogram, you can actually learn what different parts of the histogram mean. And what does that do there? I've just clicked on that. Will that just adjust that one part of the picture, or is that the whole thing? Nope. No, that's just selecting it so it stays on the screen. And as you see here, we've got the shadows and the highlights tab there, the blacks and the whites, so we can see where's clipped and where's not. Right, let's try this brush feature. So again, we can use shortcuts to actually make that smaller. Right, let's just reset that again. There we go. Right, so in Lightroom it's O. Will that do anything? Nope. What's that button? Oh, there we go, // If you press // you can actually see where you're painting. Is that anything to do with it? Nope. I'm not sure what that is. I'll try and figure that out shortly. So right, that's just quick paint on there, and just press / again. Yeah, that comes off. Let's just drop the exposure and see if it. Right. See, there we go. I've not done that in any specific way, but as you can see in that previous picture that I showed you that I processed in Lightroom, bringing the highlights back was very, very easy. It handled the raw files very well, and all this area just here, there was still cloud in it. That I've just painted over. I've put the exposure all the way down, and yet that area there just seems white. Let's see if adaptive makes any difference. See, no, I don't think for any image that I think I've specifically either overexposed it or I'm trying to bring detail back because I've misjudged the exposure myself. I don't think I would rely on this program to actually try and recover any of that detail, because it's, as you can see, it's not really done anything there. Oh, as I can see here, as I've been painting on, it's been removing from the layer. Right. So you can adjust the layers properties for each one, but as you can see, look, bringing it down, it's not really recovering any information. So maybe that's something that Macphun can actually work on, is reading raw files just that little bit better. I don't know if this is designed a little bit more for JPEG. You know, right at the end I might even drag my previous process file into here. So as it stands at the moment, I don't think I'd personally use it as a standalone file, but maybe something that I'd actually use as a plugin with Lightroom. But all of this video is going to be purely me learning, me finding out what it can actually do, and showing you what it can actually do. But at a future date, once I'm a bit more proficient with this software, I will give a full tutorial and explain everything in depth. Right, eraser. See that? Do I have to click on that? Nope, that's paint I've just done. Eraser, there we go. Get it all back. So the gradient tool as well. Can we move that? Yeah, so I mean that's the same as Lightroom, but again I'm still not happy with these skies. Let's just reset that. Right, so let's try the zoom out. We've not done that yet. Normally it's Command and plus. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it actually zooms in. Yeah, so that seems to be rendering everything just fine. Let's see what this is like. See, I do like the option of actually having that window on or off, and the fact that it sits, I suppose, wherever you want it, rather than it just being stuck to the side here on Lightroom. So you can still see the best part of the raw file, and without actually having another menu here opened up like you do in Lightroom. Right, so far, yeah, I can see professionals using this. I suppose this image that I've actually taken, I have overexposed in the sky a little bit here, and if I was shooting on Canon, for example, no matter what software I want, I wouldn't have got that back. But that's one of the reasons why I love the Fuji X files. You've got a lot of dynamic range in there. I suppose it's not as much as Nikon, but there's still plenty in there, and it still keeps plenty of color detail. As it stands, I wouldn't recommend this as a standalone program, but maybe something that would work well as a plugin, or if you've actually got an image where it's all exposed perfectly, that you're not trying to bring all the highlights back out, or maybe boost all the shadows, something too extreme because you just want to go over the top, that this may not be the program for you. That for something like that, you're going to need Photoshop or Lightroom. But as far as black and white processing, as you can see, flicking through some of them presets, some of them are absolutely brilliant. And it's this effect that I really like. Where's it gone? This one, the texture overlay. I thought that was brilliant. Right, so that's what that button does. Just brings the picture back into full screen. Right, so I'm going to actually start off at the beginning and do a full edit on this final picture. Right, so let's reset it and get started. Right, so I'm now going to process this image using all the sliders rather than using any of the presets. I want to get a full feel of what this program is capable of, going from top to bottom, and then I'll give you my opinion at the end and what I think of the program and who it's suited to. Right, top tip, if you're unsure what any of the sliders do in any program that you're using, if you do have sliders, just rack them all the way down to the bottom or all the way down up to the top, and actually see what effect it does give. That'll be the best way of you learning any program and seeing what effect you can get from each of the sliders and actually developing your own style. Right, so exposure wise, I'm not even going to touch because I like how it's exposed. Right, contrast, I do like to add contrast into a lot of my images. So let's just see how it looks. Right, I want a little bit in there. See, I can bring some of the shadows back shortly. Right, smart, what's that going to do for me? Right, it looks like it's going to brighten it up slightly. I do like that smart feature. I can guessing before when I thought that the highlights and the shadows wasn't really doing much compared to Lightroom. I suppose that each one of these work in conjunction with each other. So right, smart. That's quite nice. Right, highlights. I'm just going to drop them all the way down. Midtones. What have we got here? I like them up. That looks quite nice. Right, shadows. Let's bring all of them all the way up. Nah, let's put them about there, I think. See, at the moment I'm not really paying much attention to the histogram. I'm just going off the actual look. Sometimes the histogram can be wrong when you're editing because you may want more exposure or less. Again, it's all personal preference. The histogram is a good way to start, though, making sure that you get the correct exposure in camera. Right, whites, let's drop them down a little bit. Right, see, again, this is here in the sky. Look, that there now is pure white. There's no detail there in the clouds, and that's somewhat annoying and something that's bothering me already. But Suppose you got to work with what you've been given. Right, blacks. Let's put a bit of black back in there. Try these highlights back up so it is a bit grey. Right, clarity. Protection, I guess that's in the whites again. Yeah, I'll leave that up a bit more. Structure. Right, that structure's mega clarity, I suppose. So, you know, I'm not even going to put any of the structure on. I'm actually going to paint some of that on. Let's turn the clarity down a little bit and we'll paint that on afterwards. Right, colour filter. Let's see if this makes much effect to the actual picture. See that red? I like that, how that's bringing all the sky back, but again, no detail here. Right, I'm not going to bother with the colour filter. Tone curve. Generally, I like to leave the tone curve till last. I see that as the finishing touches on my images, so we'll come back to that. Split toning, I'm not even going to bother with this. When I'm creating a black and white file, I'm not fussed about different colours in the actual photo. I'm not fussed about sepia. I want it to be black and white. So let's get rid of that. Glow, I wasn't too keen on that earlier, so we'll leave that. And lens blur, I'm not too keen on that either. Now this texture over here, I really like this. Let's just select that and put the amount on full. See how it's looking. So the metal. Right, I don't like any of these metal ones. Film. Oh, I really like these. I do think if this is your thing, if you do really like black and white and you really want that to make your image look old, you want it to look tatty, maybe like a scanned in photo, maybe it's more of an artistic image that you're actually wanting to make, I think these are brilliant. So obviously this is on 100%. Let's have a look, which one? So I think I'm going to go with that one. I mean, that there, it's all automatically saved quite a bit on the tone curve, because see how I've got all the blacks here, a bit more grey. This is what I would have pushed for with a tone curve. Right, vignette. Let's have a little look at this. So I can see what it's doing. Size. That's too much. The roundness. See again in Lightroom, this would have brought all the detail back in the clouds. Feather, we'll have a little feather all the way in. There we go. And luminosity. I suppose that's preserving the highlights within the image. There we go. Right, and that's now I can see what that's done. Let's bring it down till we find a point that I'm happy with. Something that's going to draw you a little bit more into the centre. Now that I'm happy with. Green, I'm not going to add any green into there because I've already added this effect with the paper overlay. Photo frame, again, I stay away from completely, but others have different opinions on that. Some people really like the photo frames. Other people like myself really just despise them. Right, layer properties. I've not added any other layer, so what's this? Right, so now I can remove all the effects or bring them in gradually. See that? I do like that. That's quite a nice feature, that. Right, see now I've added the vignette on there and the texture overlay. I feel that the shadows are a little bit bright, so I'm gonna darken the shadows slightly. Where are we? There we go. Right, maybe it's not the shadows I need to be darkening. Maybe the blacks I need to bring down a bit. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. Right, so there we've got a basis of an image. I'd like to use a couple of layers and different brushes to see what else I can actually bring out on it. Let's get a brush on and we're going to start a new layer. So I'm going to start a new layer because I don't want it affecting this one here. Let's bring that layer up to 100%, because I don't want it to affect the original. I want to be able to remove it, or adjust the opacity of each one. So let's see what we got. Let's just put a line there. I'm so intrigued at what that is. Right, so there we go. That little button there, that's the before and after, and we can do the same with the forward slash, not the forward slash, backslash, before and after. So the forward slash is showing us where we've painted. See, again, this is all a learning curve for me. I've never actually used this before. Generally, I wouldn't show anybody me trying to learn a program. It'd be something that I like to spend a bit of time with and actually learn properly, so I can come on and make a full judgment rather than just assume. Right, so now I've painted there, I am going to bring the blacks down a little bit more. Oh, maybe not too much. And the shadows down. Let's try the mid-tones. I do like the mid-tones being down. Let's just come back to this one here and bring them mid-tones down a bit more. See what that's like. Right, let's go back to normal. That's no layer. Layer on. Right, now that I do like. So actually, I'm really loving this layer effect. I mean, this layer effect's only recently become new in Lightroom, and the fact that you can actually move them around in Lightroom 6. Yet this program was released before Lightroom 6, so that's quite brilliant, really. Right, let's see what else we've got. Let's add another layer. And this is where we're going to paint on the clarity. So again, it is forward slash. That's showing me the whole. Right, let's just put that on there. Let's see what it's like. And clarity. Let's just get that on 100% so I can see what effect it's actually having and where I'm actually painting. Let's get that there. That'll be in the bushes, definitely in the bricks, and everywhere in the road. That'll be in the bushes there. I'm not going to bother with the building. Actually, no, I'm going to put a little bit on the roof. Right, let's bring that back down. Let's see what we can get out of this. Protection. I like this protection thing, that it's actually really is protecting the highlights and the shadows. So let's have a look. I think that's enough. Let's have a look at this structure. Right, structure I'm not going to bother with. I think that does a little bit too much, but I'm going to use that in another layer. Yeah, I really like this layer feature. I think it's brilliant. And this time for the road, let's just do a little line there and get that on full so we can see what effect it's having. Where's the brush effect? Oh, here we go. Size, opacity, softness. Right, so there we go. We've got different brushes. I didn't actually notice that before. And different effects on the mask as well. Let's try that so it fades off a bit more. It's not so sharp on the edges. Right. And microstructure, will that make much difference? Yeah, that's just right. So as it seems, the clarity here, main clarity, middle clarity, lower clarity. This seems to be doing the whole picture. This seems to be doing all the mid-tones, and the micro just seems to be doing all the small detail parts. So the micro might add a little bit of this same one to the roof. I'm not sure. Let's have a look where I've painted with that. Right, let's get rid of it off of the sky. Right, so far it seems that this area is a little bit lighter than this part of the roof, so I'm going to darken up this slightly. Let's get a new layer. Get the brush. And let's feather it out slightly. There we go, let's put a dot there, and I'll drop all the exposure so I can see where I'm painting. Is it the highlights? It might need to be mid-tones actually. Yeah. So bring the mid-tones down a little bit and the exposure a slight bit. There we go. Right, so before, after. I think I might need to drop the exposure a slight bit. So I'll bring that down a bit. And I do think it's got a bit too much of a HDR sort of look. Actually, no, that's for there. I need to do an entire layer. The original layer, that's it. Let's bring the exposure down a little bit. That's too much. There, and now I want to bring some of these, some of this black back in. I think it has got a bit too much of a HDR effect. So let's bring these mid-tones back a little bit. Shadows. Right, see, there we go. I mean, I'm happy with the photo. I'm happy how it's come out. Again, the thing I've been stressing all the way through is I do not like how Tonality Pro recovers highlights in the raw data. I mean, that you've seen that on the previous photo that I did earlier, that I managed to recover all this cloud area just fine in Lightroom, yet I've struggled with this program. Right, so let's export the image and see how it comes out. What have we got? Export to image. First test of Tonality Pro. That's going to go to the desktop, quality, well, not the highest. What options have we got in here? I see, there we go, we've got the most popular options. So if you want to export it as a TIFF or as a PNG, I'm going to export it as a JPEG. I mean, it doesn't give you any other options than that. There we go, just the normal storing, and save. Right, so let's see how this comes out, and I will put up the picture in colour that I did in Lightroom and compare both. So there we go, that's the final image that we just created in Tonality Pro by Macphun Software. Again, which I've stressed all the way through, I'm still not happy with the sky, how it's come out. I do love that overlay feature, the fact that you can add a texture to the picture rather than how you do in Lightroom, where you have to go into Photoshop and then overlay something and then come back in. Then you've only got a TIFF to work with, or a PSD. You haven't actually got the original raw data. Also, you've even got a DNG. See, this is the final edit I did in Lightroom. Although it is still white, you can actually still see detail just here. Still plenty just there, and the skies have come back a lot better. Maybe because that's in colour. I don't know. It may be something I need to try, but yeah, you can still see a lot more detail here. So as it stands for my images, I do prefer Lightroom, but again, this was my first time using Tonality Pro. This is the first time I've ever used any of these features, and it may be something that I become proficient in and use in the future. Right, so recommendations. Would I recommend this to a professional? I think I'm not sure. It's one of them softwares where I think that it's got to speak out to you. I mean, the editor of FujiLove, he was insistent he quite liked it. He liked the convenience of the one-click feature, and I mean these presets. I think some of these are brilliant, especially if you just want a one-click, get it up, get it out there. But I think if you're really wanting to create an image, really create a photo and a feel to it, I do think that there are a few things lacking. I think things that it needs to improve on is handling raw data, and I think it needs to be able to handle the highlights and the shadows a lot better. I do think a few of these sliders need to be stronger, but then again, that may just be perfect. The fact that you can add layer after layer after layer and really keep building it up and have such fine control over what you do to the raw file. But again, I think you can only have that really fine raw control if you're able to bring things back like the highlights or recover certain details in the shadows without having to add that many layers. I think the fact that they have added sliders that are very similar to Lightroom and very similar to Photoshop, in fact that some of the shortcuts on the keyboard on a Mac are very similar, I think that's brilliant. It doesn't seem to be that sometimes when we use a program that they've tried to mould it after Photoshop or Lightroom, sometimes they try and emulate it rather than make it work for that particular program. And Tonality Pro, I don't think Macphun have tried to rip off Lightroom or Photoshop with their sliders, or the fact that they use similar shortcuts. I think they've tried to do that as convenience, because those that are going to be using this as a plugin or even a standalone generally may have come from using Photoshop or Lightroom or want to use it in conjunction. So I think that's a great feature that they've done. I do like the clarity and structure. I didn't like that initially, but I do like the fact that you've got 100% control there over clarity. That you've got it such on the low end, there's such small details, and then you've got the bigger bumper clarity over the whole picture. I do like that, and I like the fact that the clarity is not so strong. Initially, when I was first flicking through, I wasn't too keen on that, but I do like that it's not so strong, and you can keep adding layer after layer and really fine adjust it. But again, these presets, I do think they're brilliant. Personally, again, as a recommendation to a professional, I can't actually make any recommendation yet, but I can't turn them away either. I don't believe I've had enough time with this to recommend this to any professional, and obviously anyone that is a full-time photographer or considering using software like this, they're going to have their own thoughts on it. They're going to have their own reasons for wanting to use a program like this. But I will be doing another video in, I'm hoping maybe about a month's time or maybe 6 weeks time. I'm going to use this quite extensively for a number of different shots, not just a landscape shot or not just a building, like an architectural shot like this. I'm actually going to go out for the day and take a number of different photos in different situations and try and see what this program is capable of. Because I mean, this here, although it is blown out, I'd say if that was with Canon, there's no way I'd be able to get that back, and I'd have to accept for mushy skies like this. But the Fuji X file, their actual raw files are fantastic, and it's only been recently that Lightroom's kind of caught up to a few other programs out there regarding Fuji files, that we're actually starting to get programs that can handle what they're capable of. So I think for Fuji X files, at the moment I can't recommend this to a professional, just because I've not got enough use. But for an amateur or somebody who wants a good program for black and white, somebody who's not relying on the program day in, day out, having to process hundreds of images every single day, I think this is absolutely amazing. I think for Joe Blogs out there who's going to bought themselves, whether they've bought themselves a Canon, whether they've bought themselves a Nikon, or even a small Fuji, and they are shooting raw, they've got a passion for black and white, and they really want to get the best out of their photos, but don't want the complexity of Photoshop or feel a bit bewildered by using something like Lightroom, something where they can really utilize this one-click system. I think that's who this program at the moment is aimed at. £49.99 is not a lot of money at all for a program. I mean, Lightroom and Photoshop, you pay £9 a month, which some people can justify, some people can't, but all working professionals can. Originally, you're spending £130, £140 on Lightroom, you're spending £200-300 on Photoshop, and you're having to spend quite a fair bit every time for an update. Whereas £49.99, you get so many presets in here, and I think these presets really are brilliant. I mean, even with the HDR here, they are. Each one of these presets is over the top, but the fact that you get a slider that you can move up and down, and if you're going through the settings here, you can actually, let me just close this layers. Yeah, so you're going through here, when you click in one of these, all these sliders adjust, so you can actually go in and see what it's doing and adjust it to what you see fit. So as it stands, I think this, for amateurs, for enthusiasts, people that really do love black and white, that want a quick, simple system where they really can get the best from their picture with literally one click, that they can actually adjust as well after, I do think this is absolutely fantastic. For Fuji X photographers, professional photographers that rely 100% on their software, that they need the absolute best that they can get, I'm not going to make a recommendation yet because I don't feel that I'm proficient enough in this software. But again, that will come in my next video when I go into absolute depth with this, explain everything once I've learnt everything correct. This video is literally me just opening the app. It's me just learning what it can do. I mean, there's a few features in here that I've not clicked yet. I mean, like this structure here, I want to know exactly what it is. Same with microstructure. I mean, 100% exactly what it is, so I can explain it properly. Right, so that's been my quick overlook of Tonality Pro by Macphun Software. Again, this is a colour edit that I did in Lightroom. This is the final edit that I did in Macphun Software. Right, Tonality Pro, it's £9.99 for the basic version, or it's £49.99 from Macphun.com. If you decide that this is a program for you and you want to try it out before you buy, they have got a free download where you can actually try it and test some of the features before you buy it. If you do decide that this is for you and you do want to purchase it, in the promotional code offer, if you add DMartin10, you'll actually get 10% off the price. Right, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out all the other articles at FujiLove.com. Right, take care all, and have a good day.